I'll be back to the phones in 1 minute. I gotta tell y'all this, and I have my experts here to give me their honest feedback about it. Not that they don't always be honest, because I don't ever say, "Oh, you can't be honest," right? But they're young millennials, and I keep discovering. I already knew about this because I heard it before. And Nick, you can come on back in. Just if anybody, there's one line open. Anybody, if you call in, just hold on. Nick can come back to the phones in a minute. But so yesterday evening, I was on a platform. I think that's what you call it. Platform. It wasn't a podcast. It was like a platform. And in this platform, there was a whole bunch of mostly women and maybe all black, and then some men. And the platform, the discussion was being hosted by a man and his wife, I believe, and then another man who was married and someone else, all black. And so I'm on this, and you could hear the people talking, and there was about what should a man know before he gets married, something like that. I don't remember totally. I'm black and slow, right? What should a man know before he get married, something like that. And so my experts are here. James is the Hake of the Hake Report. It's on Monday through Friday from 9 to 11, right here on this network. TheHakeReport.com. The guy with the good hair. He used to be white. He's all black now.
Thank you.
And then Nick. He looked like Chris. Nick, the anchor baby.
Thank you.
And my producer. And Chris, the white boy. He white. He holding on to his whiteness.
White man.
And just a proud.
White man.
He's white and proud. Oh, it was called the Clubhouse. Thank you, Ernest. My PR guy, Ernest, told me. The Clubhouse. And then Joel, he black. And the founder of the giftedofdance.com. It took me a long time to remember that.
Go to dance.com and get on the email list.
Oh, my God.
Oh, Lord. You know how to promote it. You better.
Nice.
That's right.
Is your name Chad?
I know. What a man. Chad gonna try to throw his little thing in there real fast. That's so disrespectful. What the? So anyway, I'm on this Clubhouse discussion thing. And so they were talking about what men should do before getting married, something like that. And the women were like, they were asking the women what do they think first. I don't know about first, but I came in when they were talking to the women. And these are black, educated women. They were proud of it too. Things a man should know about the woman before he, hold on. My PR guy was there too, so he was listening. The things a man should know about the woman before marrying her. And there were like 300 people in the room. And so the women were saying, well, I'm so glad to be here. And I'm glad of hearing the vulnerability of the men. The men are doing the right thing by allowing themselves to be vulnerable.
What the?
And by allowing themselves to tell the woman their problems. And women love vulnerable men. That kind of talk. And the men were so proud of it. And they were like, when a man came up to speak, they were like, yeah, I was molested by a woman, my babysitter. I'm very vulnerable with my wife. I just love being vulnerable. And some men were saying things like, too much pressure been put on men to be a man. They say you're not supposed to cry. Stuff like that, right? And time after time, the men were just telling the women all their weakness. And they're being vulnerable, and they love being vulnerable. I wanted to throw it like that. But I may have Chinese virus on my hands, so I didn't do it. I didn't wash my hands. I didn't wash my hands yet. I mean, then.
The CDC smiles.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so the men were like vulnerable and with their wives and everything. And they were asking other expert men, what do you think about this? Oh, yeah, that's right. The man should be vulnerable. He should, except for one guy. I think one guy didn't go along with that. He'd been married for a long time. But, and these were black people. These were not white people. And I was stunned, first of all. I didn't know that black men have gone that low. And so most of these women, one woman is all proud. She had 4 degrees. And so they were talking about it and just really act like they were having a real conversation. And the men were no different than the women. Their conversation was the same. So I want to ask my experts, and I'll start with Joel first, of the giftedofdance.com. Go over there and get your website.
Yeah.
I mean, go there and promote what?
Thegiftedofdance.com. Go over there. You can sign up on the email list so you can get the emails of what we got going on. Do that right now. And then go to iTunes and Spotify to download all my music. And
Okay, all right.
So there was one woman on this discussion had 4 degrees, and I believe she was married.
Oh, my God. Poor
So, Joel, millennial men, as a millennial man, before you woke up, were you taught to be vulnerable and be like the woman, emotional? Because they were talking about their emotions and everything.
100%.
You were taught that?
Taught. Well, not necessarily taught, because I don't think that my parents did a lot of teaching in the home. We kind of just raised ourselves because we weren't the talking type.
Right.
But every once in a while, my mom, said things. But anyway, so mostly you're just influenced by your friends, school, the world, social media, and all of them say that weakness is, or being vulnerable is the way to go. So I used to believe it.
And you believed it.
I believed it.
And so when you were vulnerable, did you feel stupid?
No, because...
You didn't even feel stupid being weak.
No. Let me tell you why. It's because it's such a brainwashing to make you believe certain things that are weak are strong, right? So for you to be honest with yourself is perceived as strength, and then you to be honest openly to everybody is perceived as strength. So it's just twisted in a way to make you believe something that's not true. So you believe it's strength. So you don't even think it's weakness because you're just taught that that's good. Right on.
But there was nothing inside of you saying, no, Joel, no.
No. I think there was times where, obviously some things you don't not to go too far with, but in a general sense, there was no man button.
Really?
That you speak of. Especially if there's no daddy that's there saying like, hey, calm down. Or if your daddy ain't got the man button either.
Amazing. Chris, before you woke up, were you taught to be vulnerable and emotional like that as well?
No, my parents were pretty decent as far as being an influence on me and being an example. My parents aren't very emotional people. But what I will say is they were so hands-off in that regard that I was influenced by the outside world. And the outside world wants you to be that way. And so I was influenced by the outside world. And so I became that way.
You became vulnerable and emotional?
To a certain extent. What I would do is like if I wanted something, I would be pretend to be vulnerable. Yeah.
And did you think, but, so you accepted, did you accept the idea that a male should be vulnerable and emotional?
It really just depended on the situation. Like I said, I used it almost like a tool. It was like manipulation.
But did you know it was weakness? I mean, that you should not be that way, or did you think that was okay to be that way?
It did feel wrong. I don't know. I guess I never really thought about it as wrong or right. I guess I just thought about getting what I wanted.
Oh. And Joel,
Was?
Chris, you were raised by your father and mother?
Yeah.
How about you, Joel? You were raised by both parents?
No, primarily mom.
Oh, okay. And Nick, when you were growing up,
Right,
before you woke up, did you think being vulnerable and emotional was normal for a male?
Yeah.
You
Yeah, I did.
literally thought that.
See, what's weird is like there was the influence of the world, and I did go along with it 100%. I went along with it, and I was vulnerable, but I guess I could never really get too into it. But I went along with it for sure.
And you thought it was normal.
Right. I thought that's how you get close to your significant other, or to girls, right?
Significant other, a guy?
To your girlfriend.
Oh,
Why did I use that term? I should know better.
so-
Influenced by the world.
that's your
Influenced by the-
vulnerability.
Right. I in fact thought that was like, okay, now we're in the next step of dating, right? Oh, now we're telling each other our problems.
And when you
So
were,
that was like a progression of a relationship.
you did?
Right. And I remember seeing the reaction I got from girlfriends when I would tell them something deeper like that, thinking, because I would see this reaction, right? And I thought that was the progression of a relationship, that I would see the way that her face would get and just how we'd interact with each other. And I thought, okay, and wow, we got there. And it wasn't until later that I realized what it really was happening. I was being judged. but yeah, I really thought that was, okay, now we're here. We're now talking about our problems. I'm telling her about this thing that happened to me as a kid. And it's like, okay, now we're closer. I really thought that.
Were you raised by both parents?
No, I was raised by my mother and sisters.
Oh. No. And how about you, James? Have you, did you, as a millennial,
speechless.
before you woke up, did you think that, were you emotional and vulnerable, and did you think that was normal?
I don't know if I thought it was normal, although it was encouraged.
And who encouraged it? I mean, did your parents teach? You were raised by both parents. I happen to know your father and mother.
Right.
Did they teach you to be vulnerable and emotional?
My dad was kind of like Chris's parents, not kind of hands off, he didn't act vulnerable usually or emotional usually.
Right.
Maybe occasionally he would fall to that. But my mother was pro vulnerability type of person. She didn't use the term vulnerable, but in both the Christian world and in like movies and pop culture, it's been like promoted to be this angsty, and the music too, the music world, both rap, the hard rock stuff and everything, be this angsty, emotional male and cry on the girl's lap and stuff like that.
Really?
And then in the Christian world too, they're promoting for men to stop having this fake version of toughness or whatever, and to confess your sins and confess in front of people and stuff like that.
Amazing.
So it's promoted big time across the world.
And so let me ask, would you tell, you know how we all are born in the
Right.
fallen state, right? So we pick up stupid stuff.
Uh-huh.
Would you tell those things to a woman? Like, in your vulnerability
Uh-huh.
and emotional time, would you tell a woman all your little dark secrets?
It's not all of them, but sometimes I would tell them stuff that I really shouldn't have
What
said.
did that feel like coming out of your mouth?
It felt weird, but I thought that that's what you're supposed to do, because there's a training, and it's both a Christian thing too.
Yeah, yeah.
It's part of that Christian thing. It's that it felt wrong, and it felt like I didn't want to do it, and so I thought that, that's just my worldly side, not wanting to share this or that. not wanting to confess and stuff like that. That's just my pride.
Wow.
But I didn't know that was dignity.
It
I don't know
was.
that it was getting rid of my dignity.
What? Making a fool out of yourself. Did you think the woman would be able to help you overcome it or something? What made you you were trained to do
Sometimes.
that. You thought she could
Yeah,
help,
sometimes you like,
but she hadn't even overcome her own stuff.
I don't know that. She doesn't tell me anything.
Amazing. And so you used to tell women all your little dirty vulnerability stuff.
Well, I mean, I definitely was vulnerable, and I would tell them like I was vulnerable, but I had some stuff that I was too ashamed to tell anybody.
Oh, you did?
Right. Yeah, I
Hey, so
did.
you never told a woman to anybody?
No, I told women stuff that I definitely shouldn't have, but not everything.
Did you think they could fix your problem or some woman's
No,
it's
I
just what
felt-
vulnerable people did or what?
I fell into the whole like, honestly, I didn't even think about like, oh, she's gonna help me get over this. It's more like, oh, it's just someone to listen.
What it felt like coming out of your mouth telling her? Did it feel like weird or you felt good?
No, it felt totally normal. That's the sad part. It felt like, oh wow, we're
It
much
felt
closer.
like you're getting close.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
I'm going to be open to the treasure chest on D Live in a minute. Quick break. Back in a moment. We'll finish this and get to your calls. Back in a moment. And so, Chris, real fast, would you tell women your father state stuff?
Yeah, because they sort of, I don't know how to say it, the truth and being vulnerable, they kind of, I was taught that was like the same thing. And yeah,
And
I would tell them my secrets.
So when your secrets were coming out of your mouth telling a woman, did it feel funny? I mean, is it like, oh, it doesn't feel right. I shouldn't be doing this.
No, because I thought being that way, being troubled and being angsty, depending on what I was saying that was happening to me or how I felt, that was sort of a way to signal that I was cool. That oh wow, I have problems. I'm emotional. I could go off at any moment. I'm crazy. Like it was sort of like a way to elevate myself, which obviously is the opposite is true. But just again, the way the culture kind of raised me, that was my mindset. And again, when I did those things, I usually got what I wanted from that. The physical things that I was desiring, if so to
Money?
speak.
Friendship?
So you would tell your woman,
Close. You're getting closer.
so you would tell your woman, I'm so vulnerable, I'm so this and that. You're like, come on.
Come on, what?
I would use a lot cooler language, but yeah, I would usually get what I wanted.
And Joel, you told women your father say stuff?
Not all the stuff, but I definitely, spoke that way. And, Chris makes a good point. You were, because the culture is so trained that way, you're rewarded for that wrongdoing. So I was taught that strength is being vulnerable and being weak. And then when you're that way, you were rewarded. And I would see my friends do a lot of things, and I would be like, oh, I'm not okay with that. And they would, make fun of me, like, what's wrong with you? And then I would be like, that just doesn't seem right. But everybody was doing it, and then eventually you just think like, oh, okay, maybe I'm wrong.
Wow.
So then you do it. But my dad would always tell me, my dad wasn't in the household, but he would always tell me like, don't tell your problems. Don't tell your problems.
Yeah.
But I used to think that he was crazy. So I'd be like, but he was right.
In the Christian world, they promote brokenness. It's good to be broken. It's a blessing to be broken.
That sounds
And they have
vulnerable.
songs and books and everything about it.
Yeah.
I met a lot of Christians.
And
That's
so
true.
go tell your mom.
Give me a quick yes or no. Have you seen your father be vulnerable, and was he telling your mother his vulnerable stuff?
No.
Have you? Oh, you didn't have a father. You came out of it. You came out of an
I
eggshell.
ain't no daddy. Yeah, I was born in a test tube.
That explains a lot.
Did you ever see your father telling your mother all his little vulnerable stuff?
One time, I remember seeing him venting about kind of a petty issue that bothered him, and so occasionally, yeah, it would
Looking
happen.
at him doing that, what did you think while you were watching your father do that?
I was like, he's acting like me, like a kid.
So they finally opened up my mic so I can, cause the host, there were like 4 people hosting this thing, and they finally opened my mic up, and the guy said, "Oh, Jesse Peterson coming up next," and then one guy that pretty much was trying to do the right. It sounded like he wanted to be a man, do the right thing. He's like, "Oh, I know who Jesse is. I know. I watch his stuff sometimes. Amazing." And so they opened up my mic and they asked me, what should a guy know before getting married, something like that. I said, number 1, he should know himself. Number 2, he needs to go and forgive his mother so he can overcome being a woman and return to his father. And then when he get married, he'll be able to guide his wife out of the hell that she's in. But when you don't do that, it just be like 2 women together, something like that. And I said, the women got to hate you. God, women hate weak men. They want you to be strong, but they accept the weak. And that you should overcome that. And that men should never, ever, ever tell a woman his weakness. You're not supposed to tell that to a woman. And I laid it out like that, right? They did not like me for that. They turned my mic off. And I was up in the top of the room with the people, and then once I said that, and I think maybe somebody said, "Oh, some guy came on, one of the experts, and he was like, I don't agree with that, blah blah blah, right?" And he was definitely vulnerable, emotional, and his wife loved it. And she may have been the one with the 4 degrees, because they all had little degrees, and. I said, no, but she's going to mess your children up. She's going to turn your children away from you because you're married to your mama. Then they cut my mic off, and they put me from the top down to the bottom. I was like, what the? And I never heard a group of black people talk like that before. But they were educated. They were, especially women, they were proud of their degrees. And the advice, to hear them talk about the situation, it was like 2 women talking about it. There was no difference between the man conversation and the woman conversation. It was mind-blowing to hear that. There was no difference between the conversations. I'm like, what the? When I was growing up, that was unheard of. Whatever issues, because we all born through the woman, so we're going to develop some issues. Oh, you're going to develop some issues. But if my grandfather had any, my father had any, or my stepfather had any, or my cousin, if they had any, nobody ever knew about it. I never heard. I wouldn't have thought of telling anyone that, especially to a woman. This is the darndest thing I ever see. Those issues, first of all, what's the purpose of telling it? All you're going to do is make people judge you. Because they're in a fallen state too. So they're just going to judge you. And then the women are going to judge you double. And what's the purpose of telling? Ain't nothing nobody can do about it.
That's what my dad used to always say too. He was like, there's nothing, when you put that out there, people
Right.
are going to judge you for it, and it's not going to help anybody. Because you think when you're doing it, you think that you're speaking to other people to help them understand that you're going through the same thing
Right.
they're going through. And he used to always say, no, that's only exactly what you're saying. That's only going to make them, judge you. And he ain't saving nobody by doing it.
That's right. It doesn't even make sense. I can't even hardly put it together. You got to be drunk to do something like that.
Or a millennial.
Oh, millennial, yeah.
There's a pretense that pushed out in the propaganda media that the old times were bad because everything was hidden,
Right.
and only things were terrible. And so they went to like the opposite extreme where,
Look how weak the world is getting by
I
y'all
know.
listening to that.
yep.
It's not making the world any better. It's making it worse.
That's one of the main things. I've heard that over and over again about divorce. Oh, people used to stay together more. Yeah, but they just used to like be okay with their problems.
The
Now-
woman was abused.
The woman was abused. So now that people can be open about their problems, they could just get divorced and have a happy life or stuff like
Some
that.
of those women on that panel yesterday were saying that my husband, the divorcees, my husband abused me. They were saying that, and I wanted to get back on so badly to say, you abuse your husband. They lie about that. They don't say what they do to bring it on.
So they invited you on and just kept you on for like 2 minutes?
Yeah.
You had to listen to this whole big thing, and
Well-
then they let you in?
They let you in, and then they.
Oh, it's Discord. Yeah, they kicked you out.
right.
Yeah.
But it was something else. But it's like
It's
you said.
like,
Oh,
I
okay.
never would have thought, I wouldn't even tell a man myself. Because you can't even trust them either.
That's so funny. I think I told women more than I told men.
Wow. Y'all been lied
Because you
to.
don't want anything from
Right.
them.
I don't want anything. Right.
No wonder the millennial men are so weak. Y'all stop that crap.
And the men don't really want it from you, want to hear it from you.
Right. They don't want to. So that's why I
Because
wouldn't.
they know-
I'm not. There's nothing there to do.
Ain't nothing nobody can do about this stuff. God said if someone offend you, go and forgive that person. I'm sorry for hating you for it, and go your way. He didn't tell you go tell the world, especially women. Stop that. Go to God with it. It's a spiritual thing.
I think, and Satan uses a trick by making you feel guilty. And when you feel guilty, you really want to spill it. Like you got to confess, you got to tell the world.
Go to God, y'all.
Yeah, that's one thing for sure. I think I really hit on it was you guys were talking about music and feeling cool about it. You don't admit it, but deep down you're like, you like that, like, oh, that someone's listening to you, and you're like,
It's disgusting. That conversation yesterday was disgusting.
gross.
It looked like the more education you get, the dumber you are.
Well, you can see how people are rewarded, like Joel was saying, like how I was saying. These emotional types, they're elevated to a status that you think is higher than yourself. And for myself personally, like I wanted to be like that. I saw rock stars and movie
Yeah, they're
Right.
passionate.
movie
Passionate.
stars,
Amazing.
just all these celebrity types, people that are wealthy. I was like, oh, they must be like that, and I want to be like that, so I will emulate them.
I want to play you guys one quick example of what happened if y'all don't change. Y'all gonna be doing this.
Who said we haven't changed? Who said we had? You said past
No, I mean
tense.
millennial. I mean, I'm
guilty
talking.
speaks.
I'm talking
No, okay.
not the ones who have risen.
All right.
The guilty conscience, though, he's protesting too much.
I know. This is from Fox.
Say it.
This is from Fox. Chicago Teachers
Oh,
Union
no.
has raised eyebrows with a bizarre music video artistically expressing members' refusal to return to school during the coronavirus pandemic unless it is safe. So these teachers in Chicago are refusing to go back to work. They ain't got nothing else better to do but this. Watch this.
Oh my gosh.
I will survive.
Make it make sense.
Please make it make sense.
Safety is essential.
This is so disgusting I can hardly watch it.
What are they even
Keep
doing?
our students
Did Joel produce this?
and our teachers safe.
These are grown teachers. These people in the classroom with your children.
Safe.
What the? Look at this one in the middle.
It's our livelihood,
These are Chicago teachers.
our lives. Safe.
Okay, they making what I do look bad. They ain't helping my case at all.
That was
Yeah.
cool.
Those are your students, right, Joel? You taught those people? That was really good, Joel.
Gifted of dance graduates,
Oh my
PhDs.
god.
Y'all, millennials, stop it. they have taught you to be girls. Men don't do that kind of stuff. There's like an order to life, and that's not it. You're becoming a woman when you listen to that, when you tell your stuff. That's weakness. Like, it make the woman sick. The children, the cat, the dog. Amazing stuff. Mind blowing. Amazing. And don't forget to like, follow, tweet, subscribe, and share the Just Lee Peterson radio show, folks. We really appreciate it. We are at war. It is a spiritual battle for the soul of America. And it's going to take all of us to do it.